Over the years, 627 has evolved. It used to be a printing concern, and all these buildings were printing concerns, and we saw the trucks coming and going and taking out the orders. And then we actually watched the printing presses be removed from these buildings.
So I've been walking by that building every day. There was a tenseness when I walked by it, sort of bracing myself. My experience of it was like kind of negative. I mean, I avoid walking under there. There's like lots of weird trash and excrement of different sorts and weird clothing and empty bottles. But it's one of those, it's sort of like a train wreck, like you can't look away. I'm always like wondering what new thing's gonna be there. And there's always like somebody, I can never tell if there's actually somebody in their bed that's created there. So yeah, it's sort of this odd thing that I avoid yet somehow can't. It's kind of like a fun house.
Originally, when we moved here, the building was vacant and looked like it was under renovation. Shortly thereafter, I believe they erected scaffolding around the building, and then it just kind of went blank.
They were just going to start when Lehman collapsed in September. It has been in foreclosure.
My most memorable experience with that building that I would mention is the incident that I had, and it was a cold, blustery day right after a snowstorm. And I remember walking underneath the scaffolding, seeing yourself falling on the ice. And I remember rushing over to help you. There was someone else helping you as well. And the next thing you know, I was another casualty of this evil, mysterious building. And I remember laying in the half on the sidewalk, half in the street, staring up at the sky and how blue it was, and how I was trying to distract myself from the pain I was feeling, and the humiliation and the anger and all these mixed emotions I was having at the time as I lay in the gutter and sidewalk staring up at the scaffolding and the building, which was just gnawing away at me that this is an evil building.
627 had been covered in scaffolding for the entire 2.5 years I'd been working across the streets, and although I'd come to think of it as this shroud for this abandoned building, suddenly these workers showed up and started tearing it all down, and I think it was a surprise to everybody in the neighborhood.
I'm very involved in the community, and I've done some historical research, and the building 627 Greenwich Street represents a kind of architecture that was an advance at its time. The very large windows that you see at 627 Greenwich were to allow the natural light in for the work. The way that the buildings were constructed, there were large floors, which is why those printing presses were there. There were large floors for large loads, and there were fewer columns inside the floors so that could accommodate large machinery. And this entire neighborhood actually grew up because of activity around the Holland Tunnel and the development of trucking, as well as the St. John's Terminal, which is right here, and which was designed also for the trucks and trains to interact because of these lifts inside they bring the trucks up in. So it's very interesting. 627 is a very interesting building. It has a lot to say about the history of our neighborhood.
Well, it's funny right now as we look at it, there's something less scary about it because you can see through the windows to the sky behind it. And it just opens it up, like its case, its shell has been removed now that the scaffolding is gone, and you can sort of see its insides, you know, like a tortoise without its shell or something. Its soft insides are being revealed, and it's not as scary.
The removal of the scaffolding is just highlighting the fact now that it's truly still an abandoned building. My experience with this building will never leave me. It's something that I've never experienced. The pain, the injury, even watching other people, which I've done, avoiding the building, walking on the other side of the street. I always prayed that the scaffolding didn't fall while there was anybody there. That was always a concern. And that's why on a number of occasions I avoided the walking under the scaffolding, because obviously there wasn't anybody taking care of the building, so that was always another fear in my mind: is this scaffolding going to collapse on top of someone? Is someone going to lose their life? So it's left quite an impression on me, this building. I hope something good comes out of it, but I don't know.
The concerns about the building and the people that you meet when you're talking about the building tell you something about the neighborhood, because there are lots of activists who are very concerned about the building and have taken it under their wings and are trying to make sure, monitoring the scaffolding, monitoring the zoning. So it could almost be an exemplar for what it's like to live in an urban environment and to care about it, and for people who wouldn't meet each other otherwise to rally around it as an issue. And it's not just the people who live here, but it's also the people who work here. So that's why the neighborhood likes the commercial people, because this film is being made by someone who doesn't live here, who has come to our neighborhood to work and has yet found a connection. And I think that that's exactly what we want. So we're very happy about that.